The Galaxy Council had ruled the stars for over 10,000 years. 12 ancient species sat at the great circular table on the station called Eternal Light. They controlled trade routes, military forces, and the fate of every civilization that rose from the cosmic dust. They had never known defeat. They had never faced a species they could not crush within a single solar cycle. When their long-range sensors detected radio signals coming from a small blue planet in an unremarkable solar system, they sent observers. For 50 Earth years, the Watchers studied humanity from the shadows of the moon. They recorded human wars. They documented human cruelty toward their own kind. They witnessed atomic bombs and biological weapons and countless conflicts that seemed to never end. The Council received these reports with growing concern. Here was a species that had not evolved beyond violence. Here was a civilization that seemed addicted to conflict. The 12 ruling species held an emergency session to discuss what they called the human problem. High Chancellor of the spoke first. His silver skin reflected the light of 1,000 stars streaming through the observation dome. He argued that humans were too dangerous to be allowed into the galactic community. They bred too quickly. They adapted too fast. Their short made them reckless and unpredictable. He proposed immediate elimination before the humans developed faster-than-light travel. The other council members agreed without much debate. The representative noted that humans had already split the atom. The ambassador pointed out that human population had doubled in just 50 years. The elder calculated that within 300 years, humans would likely discover jump drive technology. By then, they would be impossible to stop. The vote was unanimous. Earth would be cleansed. The Council assembled a fleet of 500 warships. This was considered excessive by military standards. Most primitive worlds fell to a dozen vessels. But the Council wanted to send a message to any other emerging species in the galaxy. Challenge our authority, and you will be erased from existence. Admiral Al commanded the attack fleet. He was a veteran of 40 campaigns across 100 star systems. He had never lost a battle. He had never shown mercy to an enemy. When his ships entered Earth's solar system, he broadcast a single message on all frequencies. Surrender immediately and your deaths will be painless. Resist, and we will make your extinction last for generations. The humans did not respond. Al ordered the first strike. 300 plasma bombs fell on major cities across 6 continents. New York vanished in nuclear fire. Beijing became a crater. London, Tokyo, Moscow, Sydney, Delhi, Cairo, and dozens of other population centers were reduced to ash and memory. In the first hour of the attack, 2 billion humans died. The admiral expected the survivors to beg for mercy. He expected chaos and collapse. He expected the primitive species to understand their complete helplessness before superior technology and overwhelming force. Instead, something unexpected happened. The humans stopped fighting each other. Every conflict on the planet ceased within hours. Old enemies became allies. Resources were shared without negotiation. Governments that had threatened nuclear war against each other just days before now coordinated their response with perfect unity. Deep in mountain bunkers, human leaders made a decision. They would not surrender. They would not negotiate. They would make the attackers pay a price so terrible that no species in the galaxy would ever dare threaten Earth again. The Council's ground forces landed 3 days after the initial bombardment. 20 million soldiers in powered armor, supported by war machines and atmospheric fighters, descended on what they believed would be broken populations ready for collection and processing. They found something very different. The first landing force touched down in what had once been the American Midwest. The region appeared devastated. Burned fields stretched to the horizon. Collapsed buildings dotted the landscape. Sensor sweeps detected minimal life signs. Then the Earth itself seemed to rise up. Humans had buried themselves in tunnels and underground chambers. They had hidden weapons in the rubble. They had turned every shattered building into a fortress. When the alien soldiers advanced, they walked into kill zones designed by creatures who had been perfecting the art of war for thousands of years. The first wave of attackers lost 60% of their forces within minutes. Humans attacked from below, from above, from angles the aliens had never considered. They used chemical weapons the Council had banned centuries ago. They deployed biological agents that targeted specific alien physiologies. They rigged nuclear devices to detonate when their own bunkers were breached, killing themselves along with hundreds of enemy soldiers. Admiral Al received casualty reports with growing disbelief. His forces were not just meeting resistance. They were being systematically destroyed by a species that should have been broken beyond recovery. He ordered orbital bombardment of all resistance pockets. His ships reduced thousands of square kilometers to molten glass, but the humans had anticipated this tactic. Their most important facilities were buried so deep that even plasma weapons could not reach them. And then the humans revealed their true surprise. For decades, Earth's governments had maintained secret programs, black-budget projects hidden from their own populations, research into technologies that officially did not exist. When the alien attack came, these programs were activated. From hidden launch sites across the planet, missiles rose into the sky. They were not aimed at the ships in orbit. The aliens' shields could easily deflect such primitive weapons. Instead, these missiles carried a different payload. Human scientists had spent 30 years studying captured alien technology from crashed scout vessels. They had reverse-engineered shielding systems. They had decoded communication frequencies. They had developed weapons specifically designed to penetrate alien defenses. The first missile struck Admiral Al's flagship. It should have been destroyed by point defense systems. Instead, it passed through shields that had never been breached and detonated inside the ship's reactor core. The explosion destroyed 6 vessels in close formation. Over the next hour, humans launched everything they had. Missiles carrying nuclear warheads modified with alien technology. Kinetic weapons accelerated by powerful enough to crack moons. Electronic warfare packages that scrambled communication and navigation systems. The attack fleet, which had expected to face spears and simple firearms, found itself fighting a coordinated enemy that somehow understood their technology well enough to exploit every weakness. 100 ships were destroyed in the first assault. Another 100 were crippled beyond repair. Admiral Al, who had never known defeat, ordered a retreat. His surviving vessels fled to the edge of the solar system to regroup. The Galaxy Council received news of the disaster with shock and fury. They demanded explanations. They accused Al of incompetence. They refused to believe that a primitive species had inflicted such devastating losses on their forces. But the worst was yet to come. Human engineers had been working on jump drive technology for years. Their early experiments had failed repeatedly. They had been decades away from success. But the attack changed everything. Captured alien vessels provided the final pieces of the puzzle. Within 6 months of the initial bombardment, humanity had functioning faster-than-light capability. They did not use it to flee. The Council's home systems had never been attacked. Their planets were protected by ancient defense networks that had repelled 1,000 enemies. Their populations had lived in peace and safety for. Then human ships appeared in their skies. The first wave was just 20 vessels, small and crude by galactic standards. The Council's defense forces moved to intercept, confident that they would easily destroy these primitive intruders. The human ships did not engage in conventional battle. Instead, they deployed weapons that made the Council's military commanders weep in horror. Humanity had brought their full creativity to the art of destruction. They had developed planet crackers that could shatter worlds. They had engineered viruses that could exterminate entire species while leaving others untouched. They had created antimatter weapons capable of reducing star systems to expanding clouds of plasma. And they were not interested in negotiation. The humans targeted first. High Chancellor, who had first proposed Earth's destruction, watched from his palace as human warships descended on his. He attempted to open communication channels. He offered surrender. He begged for mercy. The humans remembered his vote. They remembered the plasma bombs falling on their cities. They remembered 2 billion dead in a single hour. Burned for 3 days. When the fires finally died, nothing remained but ash and memory. The Council attempted to mount a unified defense. They assembled the largest fleet in galactic history. 3,000 warships from 12 species converged to crush the human menace once and for all. The humans met them in open space between systems, and they revealed why they had been studying the galaxy's defenses for months. Human ships carried weapons that disrupted shield generators from light seconds away. Their missiles could track and destroy targets with impossible precision. Their electronic warfare capabilities made coordinated fleet action nearly impossible. But most terrifying of all was their willingness to sacrifice themselves. Human pilots flew their ships directly into enemy vessels, detonating their reactors on impact. Human ground forces triggered nuclear devices when surrounded, taking hundreds of enemies with them. Human commanders made tactical decisions that no other species could understand, trading their own lives for strategic advantage without hesitation. The Great Fleet was annihilated, 1,800 ships destroyed in a single battle. The Council's military power, built over 10,000 years, was shattered in a single day. After the battle, humanity sent a message to every inhabited world in the galaxy. The broadcast was simple and direct. We did not ask for war. We did not seek conflict. We wanted only to live in peace on our own world. You came to our home. You murdered our families. You burned our cities. Now you will understand the consequences. We are coming for every council member. We are coming for every species that voted for our extinction. We will not stop until justice is served. You made us your enemies. That was your final mistake. The Galaxy Council dissolved within weeks. Its members fled to hidden systems, hopping to escape human vengeance. Some surrendered immediately, offering technology and resources in exchange for mercy. Others attempted to fight and were destroyed without exception. Within 10 years, humanity controlled more territory than the Council had accumulated in. They rebuilt there. They expanded to the stars. They created a new order based on a simple principle. Never again. Any species that threatened human worlds faced immediate and overwhelming retaliation. Any government that plotted against humanity was eliminated before their plans could develop. The galaxy learned to fear the creatures from the small blue planet who refused to die. Historians in the centuries that followed would study the Human Council War with fascination and horror. They would analyze the tactical genius of human commanders. They would marvel at the technological adaptability of human engineers. They would debate the ethical implications of humanity's brutal response. But one conclusion was universal. The Galaxy Council's attack on Earth was the greatest mistake in the history of the known universe. They had awoken something ancient and terrible. They had given humanity a reason to unite. They had turned a species divided against itself into a force that conquered the stars. And the galaxy would never forget the lesson. Some species are not meant to be challenged. Some enemies are better left alone. Some wars should never be started. Earth had taught them all.